Heyo, heyo. We're going to get started here in just a second, guys. Get our music up and running here. I also didn't, let me see. How do I combine these two? Oh, here we go. I don't want to go through all that. All right, we'll just do this. Only difference of the day, for today, I did not do our normal Zenithal, just so that it would take us a little bit longer. If you have a Zenithal on these guys, it's going to be a super easy paint job. We're doing the penguins today. The evil penguins. But still a very fun paint job. So let me make sure I have all the colors here. As usual, things always shift around on my desk. Surprise, surprise. Let's see, so we need cinnamon red, got it. Got that. Got the yellow. We need the noir black, of course. I guess that's really it. These guys literally are like... well, out of the kit itself, we're really only looking at like 2 colors or whatever. But it's how it goes. But either way. What would be funny, actually, if we end up painting these in one session, but we, we'll just have to see how long it takes, really. Jedi Jared, still in the intro video? Yeah, we don't go live until like 3:05ish, so I could just like have a black screen if you want a Jedi. Is that what you want? Reaper standard time? No, we always wait for people to come in here. Justin can tell you I do not work on Reaper standard time. I'm not a fan. Alright, let's see how we're looking. Cool. Yeah, we'll get... Usually I start when there's like 40 people, so we're right around there. Right around there. A perilous penguin. Wow, 12 months. Awesome, Andre. It's your year-anniversary. Remember, you guys can always subscribe to the Reaper channel for free using your Jeff Bezos dollars if you have a Amazon Prime subscription. If not, you can just subscribe regularly with your own dollars. Alright. So let's pop this over. Make sure everything is working over here. Okay. Should be cool. So we've got our penguin attack here today. As you can see, the painted penguin group. Three wobblers and 1 waddler. But relatively simple, but a little bit tricky, right? Because we're going from a gray to a yellow, which is not the easiest thing in the world. So that's pretty much the challenge with this paint job, is making that work. But first thing we're going to do, you may as well just go ahead and get your Noir Black on the palette. And we'll get started from there. Okay. Let's see which brush I want to victimize today. I don't know which one's going to be nicest to us. I think this one. Put the rest up here. Okay. Get the other paints over here. Alright, so we're going to get Noir Black and a little bit of white as we begin building up our penguin highlights. Now, when I painted the penguins, I believe the three little ones, I'm pretty sure I did them like on the base, if I'm remembering correctly. They're not positioned in a way that will make it more or less difficult for you. So if you were going to put them on a base and you didn't have them on a base and you want to go ahead and do it, you can definitely do it ahead of painting them. Shouldn't be a problem, right? You can get your brush pretty much everywhere you need to, assuming you're using a larger base. Otherwise, singular basing should be a-okay. And then obviously big penguin, totally fine. Now if you're trying to put all of them on a base, which you could, let's see, we'll pretend we're doing it here. See what size base you need. Let's see, so if you did it like this, big I wouldn't want to do it behind. I don't know, maybe like this? That'd be a little bit hard. But it would look pretty cool. And we'd probably put this one in the middle, this, right? You could do 3-on-1, that'd be kind of cool. But either way, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to take mostly Noir Black here. Mostly in one tipful. Of our white, and we're just going to begin building in a highlight. Now, if we go too fast, too much, or if we go too fast, too quickly, in terms of how much we're highlighting, it's really not that big of a deal, because we can always glaze it back down. But we can go ahead and begin that journey here. So, you know, using our light source as a regular just sort of reference for our highlights, you can see really everything that's going to be happening here is really soft. Now, if you did do zenithal, if you're glazing on top, it's obviously going to be a much easier job for you. But if not, that's not too big of a deal. Oh, look, the holder barely holds one of these guys. All right, that's fine. We can rock out with that. Okay. Do it. All right. So we'll start right around the collar of the neck here. I'm just going to go nice and easy. I'm just going to go down the flipper, the wing. Is it a wing or a flipper? I mean, I know it's a bird, but go ahead across the back here. Now then, we do have two sections here that sort of are soft in the highlight. So we've got this other area that's picking up light on its penguin rump. So I'm going to add a little bit of a glazed highlight here. And I'm just going to push the paint up. So I'm just moving my brush up from the bottom of the miniature as we paint the bottom and bring it down. Relatively simply. Going across the top of the shoulder again. Top of the wing. And you can go ahead and do like the very bottom edge of the wing too. Oh god, why did they add vocals? What is this? Since when? I like when they edit. I don't want that. I don't want you. We want this one. We know this one's cool. All right. How funny. I always get so freaked out whenever I hear vocals start. I'm like, this is not what we signed up for, guys. All right, so you can see, right, now it's a little bit harder to tell when it's wet, but you can see where we've applied everything. We've got brush strokes. Obviously, if we compare it to the other penguins, right, those brush strokes are really hidden because we glazed it back down. So that's what I'm doing right now, right? We're just trying to block in all of our sections where we want our highlight, and then we're just going to push it back down. Typically, right, whenever we paint black, we kind of do this anyway. But this is a nice, easy way to do it. I'm going to go down the side here of the belly, like we did on that side. And top of the evil penguin dome here. Top of the penguin head to you, Andre. There we go. All right, so sketching that in, this is totally fine. We'll move on to Murder Penguin number 2. This is the excited Murder Penguin. You can tell from the pose. This one's a little bit different, right? The body's shaped, or well, the body's in motion as compared to being static. So we've got pretty much the whole top of the flipper flapper wing here. Same little rounded curve for the booty. And I'm just pulling the brush up from the bottom, creating that nice soft curve. And if you were joining late or anything like that and you were wondering why I didn't zenithal these, mostly just to make sure that this wasn't a super fast paint job. Actually, I think what we'll do, so I'll let you guys decide, right? Like, I can go a little bit faster on this one if you guys want a double session on the Christmas Sophie, or we can go slower on these and do a double session, right? Since there's 4 miniatures. So really it's up to you. Just let me know in the chat, whatever more response that we get, we can do that. And then remember, anyway, we also have an extra week this month where I want to look at everybody else's paint jobs. So either way, this month is great because we just have so much extra time. And I'll start looking for everybody's work. Like, I will ask you to send it to me, pretty much, after we finish up that Sophie. So don't freak out yet, right? Like, you've got time to get your images together or finish painting something, too. I know some people are still working through. Double Sophie, double Sophie, double Sophie. Cool. Looks like double Sophie. Which works fine, right? She is a more involved mini. She is perched on a roof like a Christmas version of Batman, so definitely cool. Alright, so we're going to move on to another one here. This one has more of a curve to its neck than the others, so I'm making sure to highlight that up. Down the side of the belly. Top of the wing. Across the shoulders here and the neck. And then up from the bottom. Top of the head. Okay. Simple enough. I did my best to clean up the mold lines here. I thought I did a good job. A lot of sanding. Have you guys been messing around with the Bones USA Krampus? Krampus? I was messing around with that material earlier. It's definitely cool. Holds detail a lot better. It's definitely noticeably more rigid, right, than Bones material. We got 2 of them here. For those that don't know, right, this is the like tester material model. But look at that. I mean, this, other than some telltale signs on like the horns and in the tail, funny enough, it kind of just looks like, you know, a primed metal mini, which is cool. It has flex to it. And then I know Kevin, my buddy from Hulk's Workshop, he had his leg snap, but other people didn't. So I'm not sure, like, I have two, so like we could do, you know, could do a stress test on them to kind of see what you can and can't do with the material, but I'm a big fan of anything with better details. So, and I know too, right? Stuff's here. We're gonna start on a big boy. So I'm gonna go for his double chin here. But being made in Denton, awesome. Obviously, bringing the production home. But it's also gonna just be easier for them to manage, you know, restocks in production on stuff that they're able to make instead of having to wait a while, right, to put in an order and get it shipped overseas. So. It could have been a bubble. The break didn't look like there was a cavity in it, so this material really is kind of similar to some board game. Now the quality's better, the crispness, right? But it does feel like your sort of board game PVC, just better detail. And actually, there you go. You can see it separating a little bit from the bottom. This foot here is lifting just because I'm not bending this a lot, but I'm putting a ton of pressure on it. But that plastic, instead of, it feels like sprue plastic. So if you've ever had like a GW model or Mantic or anything that comes on like a plastic sprue, now the GW's actually here, right? So if you look at how a sprue breaks, this is kind of the best way to describe how I think this material will snap on you. Obviously awesome detail, but keep this in mind. So I'll snap this, I'll cut this little section. So if you watch how this material actually snaps, so it's very, very workable, right? And you can see where it's turning white is where the material is starting to separate. And then it will pop like that. So, you know, flexible, right? But it breaks apart like that. I'm guessing, based on the feeling, that's exactly what will happen with this material. Now then, that's not a big deal. You know, if you know that's what's going to happen, which as people work with the new material, it's not bad, right? Especially for all the pros that you get, right? Like the mold lines for pretty much nothing. You can actually scrape the mold lines. You don't have to file them, or like if you don't have microfiles or anything, you know, actually cutting them off. So definitely a good thing. And then I know too, like the guys over at Talon Games are using, I'm assuming, the same method for their dual cast, is what they're calling it. But the material looks pretty much the same, and magically they're rolling it out at the same time as Reaper. So you know, if like the Krampus Mini, whatever, you know, it's cool and everything, and it obviously looks nice and sharp on the fur, but their Cav robots and the dual cast, the quality of detail difference is crazy. So it's like very obvious the improvement that they're bringing to the table with the materials. So definitely cool. But it'll be intriguing to see what comes of it, and I'm wondering too if that means we'll ever be able to get the weapon packs on sprues. the ever elusive weapon packs. So I'm just following these forms here. That's why I'm not doing like complete coverage. I'm just sort of using my overhead light source to shadow and shade. And we're gonna go one step brighter, and then we'll glaze everything down. And that should get us to a nice, smooth penguin experience. Do the side of the belly there. You can do the bottom of the tail here. Alright, cool. So now I'm gonna add one more brush tip full of white. It's still a dark gray, but it's going to look dramatically brighter. So let's bounce over to a smaller pangolin. Let's do the inquisitive penguin. This guy's hunched over, like he's like looking at a fight that's happening in public, and he's like, I don't want to get involved in that. You know what I mean? So we're gonna grab this 1-to-1 ratio, adding our water as always. All right, let's highlight up. I'm gonna begin around the face, right here underneath the beaky. And top of the dome, like so. Let's make sure we get the tippy top. Then onto the shoulder. I'm really looking for sort of this rounded portion of the shoulder there. And then top of the wing. Let's do the front, go down the back. The nice part about this, right, is that when we start glazing everything down, it's really about making everything look soft. So it's not that you're like, most of the time when we're glazing, right, we're doing it for a transitional purpose in color. But when it comes to something like this, we're literally doing it just to create a texture. So it's a lot less worrisome, so to speak. So I'm going to pull this highlight here just towards the center of the butt. And I'm just going to drag the brush around it so that it self-levels and tapers. Here we go. Easy enough. Top of this wing, down the sides, and then back to the face. Around the eye. You want to make sure we're highlighting around the eyes and everything too, because that's whenever we do them red, right? You want some contrast built in. Around the top of the neck and down the body. And underneath the beak. All right, so that is built in pretty well. Let's get Flappy over here. Happy Flappy. So, wait, what happened here? What's that? What am I looking at? Is this gunk? What are you? No. Oh. I don't know. Don't know what happened there. Alright. Alright. So, this wing, I don't want to do the whole top. I want to create a little bit of an elbow there, or a shoulder. I don't know the correct term. So I'm going to do a softer line, pushing up right here, and then back on top. So it's kind of like a rounded highlight there. And then the bottom edge of the wing. So it's a little bit of like a, looks like a can, like a pop top on a soda can. Top of the neck and shoulder. Pretty straightforward there. Now this side is shaped, it's pretty much the same. So we're gonna do the same thing. Push a rounded edge, like that. A rounded edge on the very top, down to the tip of the wing. And down the edge to the face. Bottom of the cheek, then around the eyes. John, if you are watching, do you know when the paint kit goes live for January? Since people have been asking. Alright, grabbing this guy. Or I guess not for January, right? But for half of 2021. We'll start on the shoulder here. Grab this. Top of the back. Okay, and we'll do a little bit in the middle of this section. I'm just going to push up from the bottom, so hopefully it will self-level on its own. I'll probably go back with just a little bit of water. So just a wet brush to taper it back down like that. And like that. All right. Big boy. Or lady. I don't know. When it comes to dire penguins, I don't know how you tell a difference, but maybe this is Mean Mama. Start with the jelly rolls here under the neck. Up around the eye. Into the ear. And we'll do the end of the wing there. Back here we have all these weird spikes and bumps. I considered painting it as back knee, but I figured that'd be a little too weird. I wasn't considering that. More of a joke. But underdeveloped spikes, I suppose, right? Top of this wing, and we'll do a little bit down toward the bottom and back around. Okay, so now we've done all of our rough highlighting. So to compare, right, all of that highlighting was here at some point on the little easy finished ones. And you can see here, right, we're still sectioned out in everything that we did. So the easiest way for us to move backwards is we have our Noir Black. And I'm gonna wash the brush out here. Make sure we're going fresh. And let me see. Okay, so grab this guy, Noir Black. And I'm looking for pretty much that wash consistency. So really it's like 2 part water, 1 part Noir Black. We may end up thinning it down a little bit further, but... So now I've cleaned out my brush, and if you look at the palette cam, see how I'm just grabbing with the tip of my brush like that? Just kind of moving it around, so I'm just pulling it from our pool of thinned Noir Black. And I'm just going to pretty much apply it, pulling from all of our edges like that. And we'll just see how that dries. You know, we don't necessarily know what it's going to look like because we haven't tested our glaze. I can cheat a little bit with my airbrush. And we'll see the smoothing in action. Look at that, right? Other than the mold line dent right there. Yeah, so that looks pretty good to me. Easy way to smooth out our work. So we'll just continue around the whole body. So I'm going to go up underneath the armpit there and just traipse it down into the rest of the body. Now remember, the center portion of the penguin is going to be painted and highlighted as well, so we don't necessarily need to outline the center area because it's going to kind of do its own thing. And then I'm going to do a little bit across the top of the shoulder just to round that out. And let's go ahead and glaze this edge. And then all of the butt work, so to speak. So I'm just pulling it down from really the top of the body. And I'm going to glaze a little bit more on top here on the back. And then up around the collar. Adding water. So it's all just going to look wet. Not all of it has glaze on it, right? I'm just putting water to make sure it tapers all nicely. Moving on to this side of the body. Covering up the bottom half, and then with just water, pushing my brush around, tapering the rest. And so as this dries, it'll all start smoothing itself out as we wind ourselves here back to the other wing. And then now just going with water on the brush, painting all these sections, allowing it to taper. So a bit tricky, but if you don't get a good result, right, with your like your first go around or whatever, don't worry, right, and just go back again. You may want to thin your black a little bit more if it was too thin. Then don't freak out. It'll probably end up working. But you can see the drastic difference, right, in the level of brush strokes compared to where we started. So if we compare it to this guy, right, you can see it makes a night and day difference. It makes it nice and smooth and subtle. Anywhere where it's not smooth and subtle, you can just go back. Not a big deal. The side of the face. Alright, so we got this guy done. For now, I'm going to let him dry, and then we'll probably come back to it and clean it up if we need to. Move on to another penguin. Alright, so I feel like the easiest one was just the straight up back of the mini, so that's what we're going to do here. Darken that, take it up to the shoulders, and then with just water on the brush, taper it into the shoulder, like so. And if you guys are having trouble understanding like the tapering aspect, I can probably show you on a flat surface the water and why you're doing what you're doing. It's been a while since I've done that. I know I've done that before on another episode of Miniature Monday, but a refresher never really hurts. So I went back on top. It'll leave that highlight nice and subtle. And this is all pretty much water. There may be a little bit of glaze, but I'm just going back from the other shoulder all the way across the back of the neck towards the other shoulder, where I'm now going to come in with our glaze, just grabbing the very tip of the brush, glazing over the entire wing. Easy enough. And then we're going to go ahead and do the side of the body, up underneath the neck. And then a little bit more. Going from the back of the head, making sure that's nice and smooth. And that's probably cool for him. So we're gonna, I believe, let me see. I mean, I'm happy with that for now. So we'll go ahead and move on to another one. So who's the, okay. These two have paint, this one doesn't. This is also a really good technique, right? If you are working on like, if you have a black cloak, maybe, anything kind of like that, right? Really, really good. If you have like black power armor, if you're doing some black Templar or anything like that, right? The skill translates really well. Some instances too, obviously using an airbrush is the easiest solution. But in instances where it is too fine of a detailed area for you to go in with your airbrush, and you're doing gray or black or something like that, this works really, really well. Technique obviously works too. So like if we didn't want it to just be straight up gray, right? Like if it needed to be a dark blue, if it needed to be a dark brown, and by dark I mean like super, 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 super dark. Same thing works. Go over the whole wing. And grab some water here. Go back over the shoulder because I know I put too much of the glaze right there on the right shoulder. Clean that off. A little bit more. Back of the head to the side of the head. And what I do is I pretty much go around wherever it naturally was tapering off beforehand. And that's where I stop. I go back with some water and pull a little bit further from the top into that, and that's what it will allow it to dry in a nice gradient. And you can see already as it's drying, right? Like all of those really harsh brush strokes that we had are disappearing. And what you're left with, right, is a really, really nice and easy highlight. All right, big guy. I don't know where my, I heard a buzz. Okay. All right, big guy. Let's go ahead and we'll just start on one side of the chest, move around. So I'll start down here. I'm doing a thinner glaze application just generally across the entire sort of back of the neck and the head there. Thinner than what I did on the wings and the side of the body. So now I'm going back to the full strength here, doing the wings and the back. And then I'm going to thin this out just a little bit and do this top shoulder, the side of the head. The very top can... Did we do the very top of the head? I don't think we did the top of the head. Hold on. How funny. Let's go ahead and do that. We skipped it. Alright, but that should be pretty simple. So if we go back and we look, what was this? Was the first guy? So, if you guys can remember, right, all those super harsh brush strokes that we had, they're all pretty much gone now. So, definitely easy, right? It's way less stress than you trying to, like, blend and layer step by step incrementally all of your grays. Instead, we mixed two different grays, right? A medium gray and a little bit brighter gray. Applied that and then just glazed on top. Not hard. And again, if you did a zenithal highlight, it's even easier for you because you're already like glazing partially. So you probably are noticing you have better results just on principle of starting with the zenithal. But like I said, this is kind of like a forced practice in glazing. So, all right, now that we have that, if we're looking at our penguins, right? We got gray bellies going into yellow, which is slightly a nightmare. So we're going to be working on that next. And then evil silver beaks and all that goodness. So we're going to start working on the bellies. So I'm going to take Noir Black. I'm just going to mix a new section. So we're going to do a 50-50 Noir Black versus white mix here. Just kidding. 2-to-1. 2-to-1. We're going to add a little bit more white. So 2-part white, 1-part Noir Black. I'm going to add water, make sure it's nice and smooth, and we're going to look for a completely even coat on the bellies. Just all over the whole thing. Keeping our lines nice and straight. leave a little bit of a border. Now, like if you, by that I mean just the natural dent that is sculpted there. Whap. That was satisfying application of paint. Technically, that was one brush stroke, right? If the brush doesn't come off of your miniature, is that more than one brush stroke? Get the bottom here. Let that dry. We'll do another coat. Another penguin. Alright, let's do it again. I missed a spot. Okay. According to the nacho rule? Okay, dope. Right, it's only one dip in the nachos if you actually somehow scoop the entire bowl. Is that the logic we're using here? Yep, come on, little man. There we go. Oh, I see what you're saying. So you're saying, okay, see, I was thinking queso, like dipping the nacho if it's stuck together. I see what you're saying. The good old microwave oven nacho. See, the Texan inside of me was like, queso. You're talking about queso, obviously. I finally learned how to make... Okay, so here's an interesting little tip for you. So if you're making enchiladas and you want to put a really, like, savory cheese sauce in it, like if you're making chicken enchiladas or something like that in the oven, and you don't want to mess with making queso with flour and everything else like that, what I ended up doing was I took a can of cream of chicken soup and added a tiny, like, maybe a eighth, like a sixth stick of butter, something like that, right? Not a lot. Put it in the little saucepan with the cream of chicken. Then, once that's melted in, I just added the cheese, and then, you know, other Mexican seasonings we were using, right? And then I added some chilies and you know, diced green chili and tomato, things like that, some onion. And that actually makes a more savory queso that isn't as runny.
Speaking of chilies, do you like hatch green chilies in your queso?
Yeah. If I've got them, I will.
I love hatch chilies.
Yeah, because I just added, you know, just regular green chilies. But whenever it's hatch cheese, and I always buy some. But yeah, that ended up working really well. And then you just add your shredded chicken, put it in the, you know, coat the whole thing, put it in the oven, bada bing, bada boom. But since I rarely have milk in the house, like we never have milk because both of us queso soup base. Oh, I didn't know that. Like cream mushroom. That's cool, Dirt Diver. I'll have to look into that because yeah, like we never have milk in the house because I'm lactose intolerant. So is Sydney. So we always have like the only reason we have milk, or like almond milk, is to put it in our coffee. So it's always vanilla. And I will go ahead and say I did try and make queso using vanilla almond milk, and it definitely smelled sweet, like perfume or something when it actually got in with. I mean, it was disgusting. So don't do that.
Sounds gross, not gonna lie.
It was like I literally was like, well, dinner's ruined. Like I had so many things go wrong that day, and then dinner started going bad, and I was like, well, here we go. But salvaged it. Yeah, vanilla almond milk queso. That's a big no. All right, I'm gonna do one more coat of our base gray here. Not that we really need it. I just want to make sure everything looks nice and even. All right, so Now this one, I'm just gonna do multiple brush strokes. Who cares? Even it out. Yep. Are we here? Oh my god. Oh my god. It's like, hey, we're just gonna recycle it. Oh, it's still wet. Alright, we're gonna hop out this chair. I wish this list was longer. Now I don't know if you guys remembered last Christmas. We had such a great selection. It was like a 3-hour selection. But that was before I was doing things you know, by the book, where you know, I was allowed to play the music. I was just going on YouTube like, here we go. Actually, I think it was on Spotify when I was doing that, but nowadays we pay for the rights for the music we play, so it's so funny. Like, I remember somebody recently, and it happens all the time, but more recently someone was asking me about like starting streaming or like how to make money, I guess. And I was like, well, you won't, because you're going to end up spending, you know, if you want to restream and you want to do anything like that, that's like $20 a month or whatever, or however much it is a month for like Streamlabs or Restream. And then if you want music, if you don't want to use Pretzel, which is like what everybody and their mom uses, then you got to pay another 16 or 17 for Epidemic, right? So like, you're already going to be spending money. So good luck, but it's just funny. Anytime I have those charges set, I'm like, ugh, gotta pay for the music. All right, so I'm gonna mix in a little bit more white here. We want to go one shade brighter before we begin our journey into Ogre. What's the color we got here? This Ogre Skin Land. So I'm gonna do another brush tip full, nice and hearty. And then we're just gonna glaze our way down, stepping back quite a bit. Yeah, vanilla almost milk case no. I think that's pretty true. I've used almond milk, like vanilla almond milk, for something that it wasn't supposed to be used for, and it turned out okay. I want to say it was like, man, I think maybe it was some kind of like high-end, which is an oxymoron, but like a high-end hamburger helper, like off-brand, that wasn't just like Kraft or whatever. But because it was so salty, it kind of shifted it the other way. I don't know. It didn't smell like weird perfumed cheese, which is what we were dealing with that queso. But that's the only time I've ever like substituted it, because I'm already in the middle of cooking and I'm like, I'm not trying to do that. So, but all right. So this time around, we're literally looking for like the top 25%. So just a straight up highlight here. We're gonna glaze that edge. Actually, go ahead and do 2/3. So almost 50% of the way down the belly. Almost. This area coverage, as long as you got something on there that makes sense, you'll be okay. Mostly because, right, we're going to be transitioning this into yellow pretty rapidly. But same as we did before, right? We're going to glaze that same sort of base gray to taper our edge that we've created here. And then we're going to taper it down to a darker gray to get the shadow towards the bottom of the torso. And it shouldn't be too bad. If you want, you can do this. Just like draw a line across and then fill in with the side of your brush. See how nice and smooth that is. Easy peasy. Penguin squeezy. PETA, the PETA stream detector's like, penguin squeeze! No. Alright, big guy. Or big lady. Let's see, yeah, right about here. Alright, a little bit of an angle. Not a big deal. Okay, so now I'm going to go back to the color we're using currently, and I'm going to add a brush tip and 2 brush tips of Noir Black. Actually, so here, we'll just do this. Alright. So this is going to be the glaze color to bridge that color gap. So I'm going to add 2 brushfuls of water like we did when we were glazing the Noir Black. And we're going to take this and just pull it down the entire body. That is too thin, I can tell you already, but you know what? We'll just do like 2 or 3. It's going to be 3. 3 applications. So we got this one. It's going to be 3 applications if I had to bet money. And if I'm going to lose this bet, it's because it's 4. But knowing the consistency of this paint, I think I can typically guess every time. Yeah, I'm thinking that'll get us where we need to be in 3. Make your bets now in chat. Is he the glaze guru? Yeah, that's gonna be close. It's gonna be close, folks. Alright, so you can see how the first one dried, right? We're already obscuring that line, so I'm gonna do it again. This time I'm aiming slightly below where the last application hit. See that? I left that little top edge. Look at that, it's almost gone. So I think I'm gonna be right. 3 coats. Josh, what makes you excited when you paint miniatures? Well, there's this thing that happens when you're glazing colors to make a transition, and in my head I like to bet against myself. It's exciting. Gifted sub. Thanks, Dart Driver. Because you've seen the Patreon stuff? Yeah, exactly. If you're on my Patreon, you already know. We go into glazing like crazy. Actually, like the majority, so this is what we worked on last week. So like if you look at these boots right here, which I'm obsessed with the boots. I love the texture, I love the color, everything. There's some dust there, ignore the dust. But all of this was just like layered glazing, the skin, everything like that. I mean, look at the reflections in the skin. Like this paint along, the hair, all of it has been like super glaze exercise 5,000. So, but of course, remember the best way to support me and make sure Sydney isn't homeless and the cats are fed. Definitely check out the Patreon, patreon.com/minipaintingstudio. It's always a big help. I appreciate everybody signing up too, especially around the holidays. Going in for this guy's second coat. Second coat here. Now that one was a little bit finicky. I may need to clean up that edge on him, but I'm not entirely sure. Let's go to this guy. Maybe we'll do a glaze with a brighter color to make sure it's super crispy. And big thank you too, as well. Here's our final glaze. Big thank you as well to everybody that's been buying Christmas gifts and hobby supplies off of the Amazon store. Remember in the chat you can do !! Josh's things with a apostrophe to see all of the supplies that I updated for the like holiday gift guide for people. All right, so we are going to do one connecting the very top here. Now this one's going to be pretty much just water. This is we're rocking with dirty water, and you need to make sure everything's dry. And I'm just going to glaze slightly from the very top all the way down the body. Again, it's pretty much just dirty water. I'm just trying to obfuscate that line. Like, this guy's fine. This one turned out totally fine. This one needs a little bit more love. So I was almost there. My glaze guess was correct on one of them. There we go. So that'll clean that up. Very nice. Oh no, did they get rid of... Oh, there it is. Yeah, you can only process one of those links at a time. But any of those sales obviously give me a very small percentage of the total cart, but it helps me out. Even if it's only like 50 cents per purchase, there are enough of you that actually make it add up to a decent amount, so thank you so much. And my birthday is in January, so the credit resulting from everyone's kindness over last month and this month will allow me to buy... Who am I kidding? I never buy anything just like for myself using the credit. It's always like pet supplies or like household supplies, anything like that. All right, I think we look good there. We did a great job. So I'm gonna add a little bit more Noir Black, and this will be the glaze that we use going down, just a shade towards the legs. Not that it's super crucial, but just to darken it. Off he goes. I'm doing like the bottom quarter here, and then I'm just tapering with the brush itself wiped off on my thumb, so there's like nothing on it almost. Let's see here. I'm excited about the Patreon though. We're going to be getting started on Maldrakar pretty soon. And the Maldrakar videos are going to be available for everybody at the $10 or above tier, and in addition to the 2 classes you already get. And then I am doing the one-on-one lessons with partially painted miniatures. Those should be going on sale soon. I've already, Patreon people can pre-order it ahead of time. So I already have 3 of them pre-ordered. But we're going to be doing Venom Thrax, or whatever, the Green Dragon, Cinder, Tazla, whatever, the huge red dragon. We've got Gormaw, and then I think that's it. Oh, and Cthulhu. That's right, I always forget the Cthulhu. We're going to be painting him up as well. So what those are, I pretty much paint the majority of a miniature for you, and then you get a private lesson, one-on-one with me, finishing out all of the finer details. So this is similar to the Graveyard Golem Hobby at Home kit that we did. Only difference here is that you're pretty much getting the miniature and painting part for free, right? So like on average, they're pretty much the same as my private lessons, but you're getting a gigantic, almost finished miniature, and then we focus on either OSL, different techniques, whatever the case is with each creature. So definitely like that transition though, relatively easy peasy. So now I'm gonna grab our ogre skin. Now this color transition portion we're about to embark on here is not the easiest, but I have faith that you guys can get it done. All right, we got some ogre skin out there on the paletto. Now, if you look at the big guy, there are a couple tricks here. Mostly, it's just glazing yellow and then doing an edge. Like there's no special trick to this. So I'm gonna do literally on the palette. So just here, we'll do it right here. So it'll make it simple for you to see. So I've filled my brush with water, and I'm rolling it on the palette to get it off the brush. The brush is filled with water, rolling it on the palette, and then grabbing a brush full of this yellow. Now I've got a nice 2-to-1 water to paint. And I'm going to do one more brush full of water here. And this should be good for what we're doing, building up this glaze. The reason I don't want to go too fast is because it's going to look really weird if you build it up too quickly. So we'll get started on this nice pangolin right here. And again, right, see how I have it on the palette and I just use the very tip of the brush to kind of pull it. That's how I know I'm getting the right amount. And I'm just gonna go ahead and glaze up to the top. And what you'll notice, and I'm doing it at like the top 25%, so the top quarter of this mini. I'm just flipping my brush up to the top. I'll zoom in here too so you guys can see what I just did. It's all right, we have more to do. But, so you can see what's happened here, right? I pushed it up to the top, and then we'll do another one and another one, probably 3. But that's how we're gonna get a really nice transition. So we'll go ahead and put this guy down. And I'm actually gonna lay him down like that. I know that's out of focus, but I'm gonna lay him down so that way it doesn't like pool backwards. We want gravity to be our friend here. Or you can just hold the miniature. If you're not following along live, right, and you're doing this later on, just hold it until it starts to dry a little bit more and you'll be okay. So we'll do it again here. I'm just pushing from a 45-degree angle with the brush up to the top. And I'm allowing gravity to pool it where I want it to build up the color like that. See how nice that looks? Really wet paint, name of the game. Just use water, you don't need anything else. And that is, so someone recently started following the Miniature Monday stuff, and they sent me a message because they're having problems. And I couldn't really understand how they were having problems until they explained to me they're like adding a matte medium and flow improver, like airbrush flow improver to all their paints on the palette. Stop doing that. That's why you can't like easily replicate whatever I'm doing, because you're not just using water, right? 9 times out of 10 in painting, you just need water. Actually, I would say 10 times out of 10, you just need water. But all those things will help you, right? As you get better brush control and control with your palette, control with your brush, right? Pigment use, things like that. But at the end of the day, ultimately, just using water will give you full control over your painting experience the more you do it. So I want to show you the first penguin now that he's dry. So there's what we get after our first little tints. You can see why we're going to do this most likely 3 times. Big penguin. Big mama, big papa. Back when I played EverQuest 2, it was funny. This guy I played with, he was so funny. Anytime we had anytime we were in a raid or we're doing a dungeon with a big boss, whatever the case was, and like the big boss was showing up or like coming into a room or whatever the case, he would like clockwork. He would go, "Oh Lord, here comes Big Mama," every single time. So anytime I think about that, I think of him saying it, and the subsequent deaths that we would suffer. I had a really good time playing that game, though. We had a great groupie. I haven't actually played Final Fantasy since the latest patch. We've taken a couple days off, so I'm excited to get on there and continue the story, because we had completed the story up to this point. And we're too weak really to do the Bajja stuff. At least, like, we haven't found a good group to really knock that stuff out with, so I'm pushing this up towards the top. Yet again, we just want to do this a couple times. Actually, I'm going to change the consistency of the glaze when we do it in the final step too. I'm going to go a little bit thicker. But I'm just pushing it up to the top. Just like that. And then, of course, laying it down so that way he's at like a negative 45-degree angle. And we want the paint to dry that direction. Next little guy right here. Now, still wet right there at the very top. So I'm just going to grab the airbrush, I guess. I bought a Vex airbrush and all I got was a stupid paint dryer. No, I'm kidding. I did some serious cleaning work on my Vexes. And, shamefully, all of them. Because one of them got clogged when I was doing a lesson. And instead of cleaning it, I grabbed another one, new out of the box, and just started using it. So that should tell you how patient I am when it comes to airbrush maintenance. But now they've been rocking and rolling. Once you keep them clean, you're good. But yeah, the dual nozzle will be unforgiving if you are not taking care of your airbrush. It will say, no, I'm clogged. Go away. And then you're just left sad. So do keep that in mind if you're grabbing one. Watch a video, learn how to clean an airbrush, and you'll be alright. Alright, so back at it again. I'm going further down this time. Probably like 50% or 40% way down the belly. And again, just pooling towards the top. No, what was that? Alright. Here is this guy dry. You can see second coat, building it up really well. Coat number 2 here. Yoink, yoink. Oop. Big thanks to everybody that showed up for Sydney's first stream. Last week, Sydney and I did a co-stream. So it wasn't, I mean, it was her first time streaming. We'll put it that way, but not on her official channel. She was getting ready to do it today, and then something went wrong. Like, well, what was weird is the chat overlay wasn't working, and then I went in there and like something froze up and she got a blue screen, which I'm confused about, so we gotta kind of figure that out. But if I had to guess, I got her like the cheapest webcam possible, and she's getting a better one for Christmas, but it's been weird. It's like one of those no-name Chinese ones, right? And I think it's like just causing weird errors with her computer whenever it's initializing. So whenever she goes live though on her account officially, because I wanted to raid her today after the stream. I thought that'd be fun. But I'll let you guys know so you'll have an idea to show up. So I'm gonna add a tiny brush tip into our mix here. And I'm just gonna do small 45-degree brush strokes, pushing towards the top edge like so. Just like this. See, I'm like digging the brush. Her plan today, though, was to work on some fan art for the game Hades, and it looks sweet. For those of you that have followed her Facebook page or her Instagram, you've already seen some work in progress images of it. Look at how nice that looks, though. Really good transition. Lay that down. Grab a little bit more. Yep. Remember, just take your time with this. There's no, like, perfect science for it. Thanks, Sharky. I'll let her know. She, of course, is still very self-conscious, at least, to be streaming or anything, because she's not morally bankrupted and numb like I am after doing it for years. So nice compliments go a long way. I remember how brutal it was when I started. I was telling her too, it was funny. She was like, maybe I should just stream a lot while I'm working, and I'm like, that's probably, you know, the best way to get used to it, because like when I first started streaming, I literally was doing pretty much exactly what you see now, right? Like explaining, all right, now I'm gonna do this, now I'm gonna do this, whatever. And I was doing it to 0 viewers for a while. So like, you gotta go through that awkward phase before you catch like 4 people that keep coming back, and then it's not as weird. But all right, so Hat Club. It's been a while. Now that I'm growing my hair out, we don't have as many Hat Club days, but today was not a hair day, so. This guy considers more surface area. I'm being a little bit more careful. And we'll just see how this looks. Let that dry. Alright, so let's compare our penguins to our other finished compatriots. Pretty close. They're a little bit brighter, actually. No 2 paintings are the same. It's alright. So, now what I'll do is I'll just take this color full blast. Actually, this is probably what we'll do. So, full blast, I'll take this color, and I'm just going to do the top edge here. I'm going to curve this down the body a little bit, right to where it starts to taper away. Just like that. You're essentially just trying to frame the transition that we just created. You know, and what's difficult about painting stuff like this is that there's like no detail. Now, by that I mean, of course, texture or objects, right? You literally are painting something that's smooth. So that's just kind of why we're doing it the way we're doing it. We've created a high contrast area, right, which pulls away from the lack of texture and variance in the rest of the body. And this isn't like a dig at the sculpt, obviously, because penguins are super smooth. They've got... They're missing, you know, super long feathers and texture. That's just how they're going to look. So anytime you're painting anything that's similar to this, like you're painting a pig, the camel had sort of sculpted fur. I'm just trying to think of other Reaper minis that are animals that are smooth. But anytime you run into that, just always consider where can I add something that is high contrast in comparison to the rest of the body, and it'll help you, you know, sort of frame your paint job a little bit differently than whatever you may have going on. I am stippling down a little bit there onto the neck, or chest, whatever. Oh my god, the whole thing just shifted. Alright, I'm going down this edge. Okay. Get. It was funny too, because when I was like, hey, let's do penguins for the Christmas deal, right? And in my head, I was like, yeah, it's gonna be easy, and I didn't necessarily like plan it out while I was looking at the minis. And then when they got here to paint for the you know, label, that's when I was like, oh, wait a minute, maybe I should have thought this out. But in terms of evil Christmas ruining penguins, I feel like pretty good. And these are a candidate for glowing red eyes if you are so inclined to try something like that. Alright, big penguin. Big penguin a little bit different, right? We have more surface area. So I'm taking that yellow highlight down further, about halfway down the body, right? I want that to kind of act as like the visual guide for the color shift. So like your eye is able to easily translate between like a gray highlight on the black skin versus the gray bellies. That's why it's going down a little bit further than the rest of it. Okay, cool. And then finally, last but not leastly, I'm gonna grab a little bit of white, mix it in with the yellow, and then we're just going to go around the top edge. Something like that. That was a little bit too thick right there. Let me see. There we go. So I did the left and right hand side. And then, because there is a curve, I'm going to go this little rounded curve under its double chin. Been eating too many sardines, man. Too many sardines, man. Not running from enough polar bears, man. Okay. And then, boop, boop, boop. We're gonna stipple this nice little rounded edge. Look at that. It's a penguin. Okay, next one. It's interesting too that this is the most miniatures we've painted in one session. We've never done 4 before. We've done 2. The zombies, obviously, that was a group of 5, and we did that over 2 sessions. We could have potentially squeezed it into 1, but based on everybody's feedback, it definitely was a good thing that I split it into 2 because people were struggling. Yep, so. Yeah, Sophie's the only thing left, so she'll be next week. All right, big guy. And we will geez, sorry. We will split that Sophie into 2 sessions. So next week, it's probably going to end up being all of the base coding, and then probably focusing in on one feature, and like all the detailing and highlighting on one feature. So whether that, you know, whatever it is. And then the following week will be fleshing out all those details. Whatever else is left. A little bit more of an involved mini, right? Because she's perched on a house, all that good stuff. Sweet. All right, so we've done it. Go ahead and grab your honed steel as we prepare their evil metal beaks. I don't know why I made that thematic choice, but it seems nefarious, right? Because otherwise you're like, man, penguins aren't that scary. And then you're like, well, they got red eyes and metal beaks. And you're like, oh, well, all right, I take back what I said. Okay. Yeah, pretty soon I'll have all of the other minis painted up and photographed for the upcoming Miniature Monday stuff. I don't know what I showed off. Did I show off all of them? I think I don't know if I did or not. Let me know in the chat if you guys had seen the minis that were for the paint set. I know you saw one. I don't remember. I don't know. Either way, the whole lot of them is going to get finished up here. Hopefully this week they're done. I'm guessing all of those files will get delivered Monday next week, but unless I just have extra time this weekend, but it's Patreon weekend, so we'll see. But a lot of them have so, like, I don't know how I sort of shifted in the direction I did, but it's just so... I feel like because of the expanded paint palette, it's going to allow us to really dive in and do some cool stuff that we typically just couldn't do. And like the early paint jobs I've done already, and I've finished on top of the ones that were done previously for the painting kit box. I know I have 4 of them done, and then like another 4 are almost finished. And they're also radically different, right? Like I think that's what I'm enjoying the most is just how different every single miniature is allowed to be. Not that the limited paint sets, right, that came in all of these kits were any bad choice. It's just refreshing after a year, right, of having to paint thematically. Now it's like, now we can just paint. Paint. So definitely excited about that. Whoop, grab that right here. Little lip. Little mold line. Ooh, slipped a little bit there. Clean that up. Alright, so we're gonna let that dry a little bit. We'll grab our cinnamon red. And And we'll add our evil red eyes. Now, I'm going to put these directly on top of black. If you want them to be, like, super, actually, you know what? We'll just do it the right way. We'll do it the right way. We're going to paint them white and then red on top. Just to make sure they... I literally grabbed this like the miniature was on here. I don't know what I'm doing. That's hilarious. Alright. Out of habit. If you, alternatively, if you don't want your penguins to be evil, eyes being white probably works just fine for you. You can add pupils if you want. I'm just afraid as soon as you add pupils, they're gonna look like cartoons, unless that's what you want. But since there's no eyelids or anything, it's gonna look wild. So. Boom, boom. Oh, you just want full metal penguin? I mean, it makes sense, right? Like, if you did them in a Terminator style, like, liquid metals, that'd be kind of cool. Kind of crazy. I don't think there's any futuristic themed Reaper sculpts, though, so you'd have to figure out an intriguing replacement of, like, how to cyborgize something. May not be too hard, though. They do have the cyber weapons kit or whatever. I mean, maybe if you had that and you put, like, sawed-off lasers in Santa's bag. You know what I'm saying? Like... Just put weapons in Santa's bag, and then, oh, you know what? I have such a good idea right now. Hold on. So you put those in Santa's bag, and then, it could work out pretty well. All right, so I just got this thought here. I'm gonna take black, and I'm gonna add a sharp angle here. Like that. To make it look like it's an angry pangry. It's like a 45-degree angle on the angry eyelid here. That was a little bit too much. Robot Santa from Futurama. That's just such a good episode. What I'm gonna do right now, actually, I'm gonna make a little bit of wash out of the noir black. I'm gonna wash the beakies. Oop, that is way too thick. Let me wipe that off. Wow. Okay. So not that heavy. That was bad. I'm not gonna grip them when I do this. I'm just gonna apply our wash. There we go. Should I do the angry eyelids on all of them? These are so small. I don't know if I can. I will need to handle it here. Let me attempt it. Okay. Alright. Nope, that's what I was afraid of. So if you are gonna try and do an angry eyelid, just be very careful. It's super simple to go a little bit too far with the idea. Okay. Now this guy looks so innocent. He doesn't look as menacing as everybody else. Maybe this one we do the bottom like this. Like this guy is suspicious. This one's suspicious. So he's squinting his eyelids from below. He's like, I don't know. All right, cool. So we got that. Now we got the cinnamon red. This can be like just not even a real coat of paint. It can be glaze consistency, and you're just going over the white portion with it, so it's extra bright. Then there's only one thing left to do, and they are finished. Oh, well, never mind. We have his spikes. Spoke too soon. So we have 2 things left. 2 steps. All right, so let's do his spikes. We got intense brown. Penguin is sus. Man, talk about, man, it's just so funny, like, games like that are just so memeable, and then they just die into obscurity. What's funny, too, right, is, like, social deduction stuff has been so popular. Alright, so I've got intense brown. I darkened it a little bit. We're just going to paint the spikes. Easy enough. And then I'm going to add a little bit of white, some of the yellow, and some of the red, a little bit more white. There we go. And more of the yellow. I'm just trying to mix up like a nice kind of highlighted color here. There we go. And I'm just going to wash on top of these to dull all the edges. And in today's theme, of course, it makes sense, since we've done that on like every single feature. Okay. Weirdly, Penguin's feet are black. At least the Emperor Penguins I was looking at. So, I mean, you could change it if you wanted. But, alright, and then I'm just going to make a dark brown kind of wash situation. I'm just going to go over, dull down the harsher brush strokes there. And it will be A-okay. Now, the only other thing is they have like an edge, like a color that goes on the edge of their beak. And it's orange. So we're just going to simulate an orange by taking our, ooh, popping off the thing. We're just going to take Ogre's skin, mix it with some of the red. Make a relatively simple orange. There we go. And I think I did it on the, where did I do it? The bottom lip. So, come on, buddy. Come on, buddy. All right. So the top edge of the bottom section of the beak is where I'm putting this, like so. Top edge, bottom section of the beak. Just like that. You want to add some orange. There you go. That's an evil penguin, man. On its way to ruin Christmas. Sophie, save us. It's funny, it's such a simple detail. Sort of like ties it together. There it is. Add your snow basing, and you'll be good to go. But there we are. So, thanks so much for hanging out with us this week. Now, I planned on extending that into 2 sessions, so it was cool to get it done in 1 hour and a half flat. And next week, like we said, we're going to be doing the Sophie Mini. We'll extend her out into 2 sessions, giving you ample detailing and just really push it. I mean, it'll be, you know, it's the last miniature we're painting for a full year of Miniature Monday, so that's really cool. I'll make sure to tear up and have roses delivered to Justin, and everyone will just be so happy, super, super happy, and we'll all cry, and we'll all, you know, give each other high fives across the COVID internet boundary. But, so...
I want tulips.
You want 2 lips? Well, I can give you 2 lips, Justin. Mwah, 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 mwah. That's
perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, that's what you're asking for. But I do appreciate you hanging out today. I hope everything in your paint job works out great. Remember, don't freak out yet. But so next week, definitely start thinking about getting together some photos or whatever of the previous Miniature Monday kits you've worked on, so we can show those off towards the end of the month. I just like hiccuped weirdly in the middle of that sentence, and then. Definitely by the time we're done painting Sophie, snap some photos. I'll tell you the best way to get them to me. I'm thinking it'll be, I don't know, we'll figure it out. I'll find the easiest method possible for you guys to get it so I don't have to, like, get images from 10 different places. But, thanks so much, as always. Justin, do you have any announcements for us? Any news we need? Anything like that? Tomorrow, Justin is getting wisdom teeth taken out, so definitely wish him good luck on his wisdom teeth digging journey. But, do you have anything for us?
I don't have anything for you guys, but John is going to be taking over tomorrow for the for both streams as far as producing. I've given him, you know, pretty much a crash course in it, and hopefully it works out. But you guys be nice to John, okay? But outside of that, I mean, that's all I got, guys.
Actually, so it looks like Sydney's live right now.
Oh, perfect.
I did not know that. Let me let me double check that she's live, because I didn't get the notification on anything else. Hold on. Let me see what's going on here. She's live on Twitch, but which obviously counts here. But I know she's been trying to go back and forth. Hold on, Sid Nasty. Let's see what we got going on. Is she live right now?
It looks like she's live on my end, yeah.
Okay, well, let's raid her. Now she doesn't. So I don't know if her chat's working. Let me see. We'll see if I pop up in her chat. But either way, she says yes, my chat's working. Okay, so she can see that, but not the chat window, I don't think. Okay, I don't know what I can hear or can't hear. But either way, alright, so we're going to dump you all over there. And I'm going to go in the room to make sure everything's working. So, thanks so much, guys. This is literally her first stream. She's drawing fan art right now. Be nice to her. And we'll catch you all next week. So, thanks so much, guys.